All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Hammer the Heck Out of It. We have a reoccurring guest here, Luke Clanton, Florida State golfer. You saw him in our last episode. We broke down his swing, talked about his great golf swing he has, and then he was one of our first guests we had on the show. So it's good to see Luke back. Luke, how have things been since we left off? How did your season go?
Yeah, not too bad. First off, I do want to say I'm 6'1", by the way. I
I
am
know.
6'1".
Sorry about that.
No, I was dying when I saw that. It was hilarious. No, but it's been good. Played pretty damn well the last couple of events and kind of got my mental right for the game and stuff. I was struggled there for a while during spring, like beginning of spring, with some personal issues and stuff, but got through that and gotten really focused in on golf more than anything. I feel like I got a little off of that and got more focused on certain things I shouldn't. So I don't know. It's kind of like playoff now, and I'm really zoned in on everything, and it's been pretty damn good, man. I'm pretty happy.
Good deal. For our audience, I know you told us before we started that you're going to California, and you
Mhm.
guys are the 2 seed. What other schools you're going to be going against out there?
So we're going against Pepperdine as the number 1 seed.
Hmm.
And I think we're going against Mississippi State as a 3rd seed as well, but I'm not sure about the other ones. But um, we were watching Golf Channel on it as well, and they were talking about all the seeds and stuff, and they never mentioned us once. So it was a little hurtful. But I mean, it's whatever. I think it's anyone's week, like during those kind of stuff. So Pepperdine is an
Hmm.
amazing school. They have great players on that team. I think they have 5 seniors on that team as well. So they're
Hmm.
all pretty mature and ready to go. And I think we're all preparing really, really well. I think all of us are so focused in on playing just good golf for the team. We after ACCs, of course, like how we played, we were all a bit frustrated and how we couldn't make match play. But I think we are preparing pretty well, and I think I'm not going to be surprised if the team doesn't play well. So I'm excited.
Yeah, a little chip on the shoulder there with them not talking about you for sure. But um, what's the travel going to look like for you guys? Because you guys are going from Tallahassee all the way to California. That's going to be brutal.
Yeah,
Are you heading out
man.
there early, or what are you guys doing?
So we're having a meeting tomorrow about everything, which I can't really talk about, whatever. But
Hmm.
it's gonna be. I think we might get up there maybe a day early. I'm not sure, but we're gonna be really zoned in through our practices and stuff and what we're gonna do. And we have a great leader as a captain, Cole Anderson, which
Hmm.
amazing guy. He's a damn good player as well. It's he's really good. He really helps out with all of us to kind of getting us focused in and how to prepare for these kind of events because he's been through situations a bunch. So, and then we have another freshman as well, Jack Bigham with me. We're gonna be 2 freshmen playing on the team this week, and I think we have a really good 2 and 3 as well, like Brett Robertson and Frederick Ketchup. I mean, these guys are all ranked within the top 80 in the world, so we're all pretty experienced through these situations, and I mean, I think the biggest thing for us is just to stay calm. I think we all get really excited to go out there and play and win.
Hmm.
And that's what Cole's been kind of helping us out with, is not to over prepare sometimes. I think a lot of people nowadays get, really crunched in time to try to prepare for certain events. And, I think we're preparing right and resting and sleeping a bunch, which is good after exams. So
Hmm.
I think we're good.
Let me ask you this. If you kind of going back to like your high school days, you played a lot of AJGA. Do you think the travel for AJGA and for like elite AM events helps you with stuff like that? Because if you're going to travel out there the day before, you would think your
Yeah.
body would be pretty tired. But I mean, if you're kind of used to it, it won't take that much of effect on you.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to travel probably, a day before the practice round, which is what I was trying to say, is like
Okay.
we're going to
Yeah.
go out the day before the practice round. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, it kind of took me a while to kind of get used to certain things with traveling and how to get the body prepared because you're right. Like it's hard to get prepared for certain events, especially even as AJGAs or big amateur events. Like, you know, 2 years ago when we would travel, I did not know how to prepare at all.
Hmm.
I just had no clue how to. I mean, I still played pretty good, which was awesome, but I never knew how to like get ready for an event. I
Hmm.
started kind of learning last year pretty well because of my coach, Jeff Leishman, which he helped me out through the process of kind of getting ready for tournaments and not over exerting energy through like certain things and stuff. So, I mean, man, I'm a pretty superstitious guy as well. So I do the same exact thing every single day of what I do. So, when I get there, make sure everything's right. I work out every single day, even during
Hmm.
events and stuff like that. I have to let out some kind of energy because I mean, I think you guys know as well as like we all get pumped up to play and like we don't know how to really control it. And the way I can control it is through gym and stuff. So,
Right.
I'm not a big guy, but I still try to go in there and lift as much weights as I can before, a round and stuff. And I think just kind of figuring out what your path is on like getting the body right, getting the mind right. Because again, every event is the same. I don't I,
Hmm.
I don't like when people say like, oh, this event's not as good. You know what I mean?
Right.
Stuff like that. And people are like putting this event downward. But if you win that event, it can do a lot of things for you. So I kind of go into every single week kind of the same, unless it's like nationals or regionals, and there's a little bit different to that because it's gonna be a longer week. You got
Hmm.
to be a little bit more careful with how you work throughout the week and stuff. You can't after a round go bang balls for 2 hours and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
um, this is kind of a new experience for me as well, though, traveling with the team. I've never really traveled with the team week by week and stuff. So I mean, the fall, it wasn't my time. That's what a lot of people don't realize. It's not your time, what you're doing. It's like with the team. So you have to figure out how to fit what you do in your schedule with them. So I think I've kind of learned that pretty well in the spring season. So yeah, I mean, pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, I know you said you got to sit down and watch the last episode. You kind of took the 6-1 part away, but have you ever heard somebody compare your swing to JT? Because when we
No,
broke it down, like the position at the top was a lot like Justin Thomas. Like,
no one's ever compared to Justin Thomas ever. It's
really?
always been Justin Rose,
Okay.
which is really weird. Like I don't really see it as much, but my swings developed so much over the last like year and a half though.
Yeah.
I feel like I year and a half ago my swing was a lot flatter. I didn't have as much shallow ending towards the golf club. I was very steep.
Hmm.
So I mean I can get so into that. That would be a span of things I could say, but it's it was a lot of work in progress, man, for the swing. But I've gotten to where I like get into feel zone with
Hmm.
my swing now. It's not more of like a technical thing with me. I think my coach does that really well for me. Because I was a technical freak, man, when it comes to that stuff. Like I was so into it, trying to like perfect my swing in every kind of way. And I mean, yeah, dude, it gets a little aggressive sometimes when you get too technical with it. But I've been never been compared to Justin Thomas. And when you said that, I was a little out like side eyed it, but then I looked at it, I was like, man, I kind of do have the same position as Justin Thomas, which it's
That's
not
what
a
we
bad,
were
it's a
saying.
great compliment. I'll take it any day. I mean, Justin Thomas is two-time major champion. He's pretty damn good golf. So yeah, I'll
Yeah.
take it.
Yeah. Um, you had mentioned the technical aspect. Do you still look at data, or is it just like you just go out there and hit balls, watch the ball flight, see what you've got?
Yeah, that's where it's kind of like a little bit of like a gray zone with certain things. It's like you want to be technical with certain things, but you also don't. I mean, I always get numbers every single day, yardages, carries, and stuff like that. I'll rarely do club path and swing path and spin rates and stuff like that. I'll do that maybe once a month, maybe just to check up on see how I'm doing. If I'm overcutting it, or if I'm kind of getting a little under it, kind of just swiping a little left, like then I'll get into it. But like today was probably the longest day on the range I've had in probably a couple months. Was on the range for like about 2.5 hours, like 2 hours probably, I'd say. Kind of hitting some balls, just figuring out a little bit of the club path and stuff, which was good. I mean, it gets a little confusing sometimes because you feel something and then it goes a different direction and you get all messed up in the head. But
Hmm.
I mean, everything's been really solid. I think biggest thing for me is just staying out of the technical zone, especially through playoffs. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's an interesting point you bring up. One of the questions I wanted to ask you is just like with it being a long season, a long spring, how much time are you devoting? And I know we talked about this in the first episode with you on, but are you finding yourself trying to play as much as you can and stay in that competitive kind of get the ball into the hole kind of mode versus beating a bunch of balls on the range? Or is that something you kind of assess, like depending on how each tournament goes and how much time you have between events?
That's a pretty damn good question. I love playing golf. I've always loved playing golf ever since I was a kid. I mean, I just like if I ever have a chance to go play, I'll play. But I think what I've learned really, really a lot what I've learned from college as well is not playing as much. I think I got caught up in playing 18 holes, 36 holes a day and going out and playing, and not really working on my game. So getting into college, we worked on certain things and we went over data with what my game and over fall, and we kind of picked out some things that I had no clue what was bad and what was good. And he was kind of telling me, and I mean, it made sense. Like, my short game wasn't great, but I was a great ball striker. So my short game wasn't really proven much in tournaments because I wasn't chipping as much.
Mhm.
Then in spring, my ball striking was bad. It was not great. Like I wasn't hitting many greens, but my up and down percentage was a lot better. I was getting, one putting was a lot better and stuff like that. So I think you kind of have to during season be a little careful with what you do, especially, you can't go on a range and practice for a bunch of time, but you can do small drills and go out and play 9 in the afternoon, but you can't be out there for 5, 6 hours a day. Like it's impossible to. Your mind's gonna get fried, by the end of all of this. So yeah, you kind of have to be a little careful. You have to really prioritize what you're gonna do with practice as well.
Is this a case where, I mean, and I don't want to look too far ahead here because obviously we've got your postseason coming up, and hopefully you'll be hoisting a national championship soon, yourself and the team.
yeah.
But looking beyond that, is this something where you'll kind of take a deeper dive with your team, behind you and your coaches and stuff, and look at in the off season? I mean, I'm hesitant to call it an off season because I'm sure you'll be competing a bunch in the summer as well. But is this the time where you'll maybe spend more time making any swing changes or any kind of not necessarily overhauls that need to be made, but anything that would be more time consuming?
Yeah. I mean, I want to fix so many things with my golf swing, but to me, like you're a golfer as well. I mean, both of you guys are golfers, and as well as like if you're hitting it good and your swing doesn't look great, it doesn't really matter.
Right.
I really don't think. I think a lot of people get caught up in such a technique way of looking at a golf swing and thinking it has to be perfect. If my golf swing is okay, it might look good on video and stuff, but there's things I really want to change. But if I'm still cutting it 3 yards, with my 7-iron perfect at like 10 out of 10 times, then why would I change anything? Like maybe in the off season, or it's not really an off season. I'm traveling for freaking 6 weeks in the summer, which I mean, yeah, it's gonna be brutal. But I think the off season for me is probably next or November of the next coming months. And I think the biggest thing is just to be careful of what you're gonna do with your swing, because if you change your swing and you get into a habit of that certain thing and it doesn't work, that can bring you down quickly. So again, I have my coach to lead me in that process, which is amazing. I have a great team behind me to help me through those things and stuff. So, I during the summer and during all those events and stuff, I'm probably not going to change much. I'm probably going to keep what I'm doing and stuff. But, again, like when I'm learning this stuff, is not just from me, it's from, our captain, Cole Anderson. Like he tells me a bunch of this stuff. Like, I kind of leading into this stuff, I was like, hey, man, I really need to change this stuff. And he looks at me, he's like, man, why would you change? Like, why would you change these kind of things? You don't need to. Like, you're hitting it good, you're hitting it well, you've been playing pretty good. Just keep doing what you're doing. You just work harder. Just figure out what your miss is the biggest thing. That's kind of something that's big nowadays. Like, if you have a tuck right flag and your miss is right, then you can't aim at that flag. You got to aim like about 20 feet left. And if you flush it 20 feet, if you miss it, you're right next to the cup.
Mhm.
So, I mean, there's so many things that go into it, like little things that a lot of people don't know. But yeah, just try to stay as neutral zone as I can with technique, basically. It's the simplest way to answer it.
And
I,
then
I,
and looking, Jacob, if I could here, just looking
Yeah.
at your kind of results, I have them pulled up, but as you mentioned earlier, maybe before we started, but you're trending in a good direction with a top 10 at the ACC, which is really impressive, for your first conference tournament. And then it looks like a tied for third in the event prior to that. So I mean, you got to feel like your game's in a good place heading into the postseason. If you want to just talk about that a little bit, or if what you can kind of attribute to that trending, because obviously it is a long season. So, I mean, you got to be patient. It looks like your guys' first event was February 19th. And so here we are almost 3 months later. So, I mean, that's got to feel good to take that momentum into the postseason. Is there anything that you kind of attribute it to, or anything that maybe you adjusted tournament to tournament?
I'm gonna be honest with you guys, to both of you guys. Like it was not easy at all. Like I struggled a bunch with a lot of mental stuff was big for me. A lot of people nowadays kind of look over that stuff, what we do and how we practice and how we train. Like, I think a lot of people go through certain things that a lot of people don't know. And, none of us really go out and reach out to people because we're scared to like even talk about it. Cause, it's like a little bit of a touchy subject with certain things, especially with athletes. I had some pretty bad stuff going through my mind and I couldn't get out of it for a while. And, I had some people behind me that helped me through that stuff. And I reached out to him just saying, man, like, I can't get through this on my own. I need people to be there with me. And they were there. And, you know, I, I, I believe in certain things. Like I'm a big believer in God. I'm Christian. And I remember it was like kind of a week before, the Virginia event when I came in third. And I was sitting down talking to my mom about it. And I was just calling my mom, just asking her, like, man, I don't know how to get out of my head. Like, I can't get out of my head. It's terrible right now. And she's like, just talk to God. And I was like, well, I can't just talk to God. Like, that doesn't make any sense. I can't, why would I just talk to God? She's like, just do it. So I just started talking and whatever. And then day by day, started getting deeper and deeper and deeper into what I was thinking. And, I really thought about what golf means to me as a sport. I thought like, man, like I always looked at what I shot and that depended on my mood. And that falls to every single person on this golf, that plays golf. Everyone, if you play good, you're happy. If you play bad, you're like, I'm pissed, whatever. And then I remember it was the night before we're playing the first round. It was like 9 o'clock, and I was like just scrolling through YouTube, whatever, just trying to fall asleep. And I think it was like Scotty Scheffler's press conference after he won the Masters. And I was just like, all right, I'll watch this, whatever. Started watching it. And the biggest thing he said was, a golf score doesn't define who you are. Right. And when he said that to me, kind of hit me hard. And then he talked about like, his wife saying basically, no matter if you shot 85 or you went out and won, I'm still going to think of you the same. And, and people behind you, your family and your friends. And it makes sense. I think like, we kind of look into it too hard, thinking like, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to do this. Like to me, I play golf as my job, of course, but I play golf to enjoy it. God gave me a talent to do. And like, man, when you look at it that way, golf becomes a lot easier. It just becomes more free, becomes more fun. Like, I went out to ACCs and I really didn't care. Like, of course, I was playing for my team, trying to play as hard as I can for my team, but I didn't care what I did. So I was like, man, I'm going to be the same guy, no matter if I go out and shoot 59 today or if I go out and shoot 78. I'm going to be the same dude. I'm not going to change. I'm not going to be anything different. That's why I love kind of talking about that with people. It's like, like people go through stuff, dude. And it's simple as that. Like, no one's going to be perfect all the time. Like, yeah, maybe you see me on social media and you see I'm this happy old dude all the time, but people go through things, it's simple as that. And like a lot of people don't know that. And a lot of people that are going through things that, maybe are trying to get better at certain like sports, whatever, see these people and they think that, but it's not the truth. Everyone's going through things. I bet you guys have been through things and, you went through low points and you just didn't know what to do, but you got out of it. Right. And I think that needs to be spreaded throughout the world with especially athletes. I think we all need to kind of like realize like, man, like, this guy's going through, I need to be there for him, help him out, go through that with him. And especially as a teammate, and that's big credit to, again, I'm going to say again, my captain, Cole Anderson. Like he was my number one guy there for me. He was, he invited me out to dinner all the time and talked to me about it. Freshman year of college, of course, everyone goes through things and stuff, but it was just a cool way to kind of look at life in general and golf. It's just to be not really caring about what you shoot, just go out and play. So it's kind of a big thing. Yeah, that's the success of golf last couple of weeks, basically. Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, that type of maturity can only help you as a golfer, but more importantly, help you as a person to like,
Yeah.
Because now as you progress as a person, as you're still at Florida State, in the future, wherever your path takes you, man, like people are going to be able to reach out to you. Like, obviously your goal is to be on tour. You'll be a couple years in, there's going to be rookies on tour that'll want to reach out to you about like what they're struggling with as they're going through their rookie season. You'll be able to help them through that. So I think that's awesome that, that type of maturity that you have to look at life that way. yeah, you're a golfer. Yeah, you're a great golfer, obviously, but you're also Luke Clanton. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
you're
I'm no
not
different from anybody else, man.
right.
I just play golf as good as I can. That's about it. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
why
that's awesome.
that's it, man. Simple as
Yeah,
that.
well, that's awesome. That's super cool to hear, and I'm glad for you that that you've gotten yourself through it, and like you have good people around you to help you through it. That's awesome.
Yeah, all credit to them for sure.
I do want to hit on one thing here real quick. Just to recap, you will be heading to California. I do want to
Yeah.
say, if I do recall correctly, you had a trip out to California with the good guys. Was that kind of like foreshadowing? Like, I think you knew it in advance. You wanted to scout out the area a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. No, no. It's kind of funny because we were like looking at like where we're gonna be at, and coach was like, yeah, I already know where we're gonna be at. And you know, we're gonna be in California, and we got called in California. And it was funny enough, it's like I've been in California last year and stuff like that. I don't even know if it's near that place or not, but California in general, like where we were, was awesome. I mean, it was a great experience for me to be with those guys and stuff. And Go Getting Journal's killing it right now with what they're doing and how they're kind of collabing with Callaway and doing those kind of things and stuff. And I mean, it's just great dudes, man. They're just, I mean, as good as it can get with a group of guys that do YouTube. A lot of people are fake on YouTube and stuff, but those guys are as real as it gets. Garrett grew up in a great mind space. What he did, I mean, this kid was started when he was like 14 years old in YouTube and made it all by himself in simple
Mhm.
ways. And then he had a group of guys to help him out good, and they exploded. And like they're not slowing down anytime soon. And I'm blessed to be part of that kind of with them with the apparel and stuff. And you know, I'm proud to represent what they do, man, because what Garrett kind of talked to me about how he grew up and how he did it was a cool story behind him. And for them to give me the opportunity to represent them is going to be so cool. I'm excited for the summer. I got some cool stuff popping out with me in the summer. It's going to be pretty cool. So
That's very cool. I mean, obviously a pretty select group of people that get to represent good in their apparel, and you're one of them. So that's really cool.
yeah, I was, man, I was such a little kid. I was like 16 years old, and I reached out to him, and I was like, "Hey, man, you know, I'd love to play on the GM Golf Channel one day." And he reached back out to me, and I was like, "What? I was not expecting this at all." And he's like, "I'll be down in Florida at this time. Let's play." And got my buddy from back home, Aiden Norris, and we were freaking out, man, before they showed up. And I was like, "How? What are we gonna do? Like, how are we gonna do anything?" And funniest thing is, we got on the first tee box, and we had no warning, and we just started the camera, and we were just there in awe. We didn't know what to do. We didn't know what to say, and it's just cool, man. Like, you know, and how it all ended up, and we wanted a rematch, and then we got the 66. I mean, could have not been any better for how it was. And lucky enough, I stayed in contact with him and stuff, and kind of talked to him a good amount throughout the weeks and stuff. And
Hmm.
then led to California, and then California, we kind of a little conversation, and then went from there. It kind of exploded. So it was pretty cool. Yeah, of
That is very cool. Well, Luke, we appreciate you coming back on, man.
course.
I'm super happy for you that you're like growing every day and becoming just a great, not that you weren't a great dude, but an even better dude,
Thank
obviously.
you.
Best of luck in California. I think you're going to do great. I think
Thank you, man.
you're going to go out there and you're going to take it. So
Yes, sir.
I'm rooting for the Seminoles this
Yes, sir.
Seminoles and Tar Heels. Shout out to David too.
Yeah, shout out to David. You cannot not love David, man. I love David. He's an awesome dude. So we'll
He
have a
was
good
great.
battle out there. Yeah.
He was great. We appreciate it, Luke. Thanks for coming on,
Yes,
man.
sir. Of course, man.